So, today we're going to show you how to do something very important, and that is get the film off the camera, either the red ones or the black ones, off the files on here and onto the computer. For that, you're going to need a card reader. That card reader is available at the front of the classroom. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you get your cameras ready. Let's get started. So, first thing you need to do is get the card out of the camera. Now, it's always important to go ahead and power down the camera first before you get going so you don't have a chance of fouling the card. On the red cameras, you pop open the back and this little button presses in, pulls out, and there's the card we're looking for. You want to be careful, always make sure that this card does not get lost or misplaced. It always wants to be back into the device. So push it in, it locks, this door opens and closes like that. So I'm just pushing it in this direction, opens up, flaps open, press once on that, extract the card. Now, on the black cameras, same thing applies. Here we're going to want to make sure that we power down, make sure that the camera has been turned off, and then on these cameras it's right here. So you'll notice there's a little flap, a little door right there. Same thing applies. One press on there, that extracts the card. There's the card in here. It goes back in, of course, the same way with a single click, like so. So we need the card out to get this job done. Again, you want to make sure that this card stays associated with this camera. Don't get the two lost. Just like this card needs to stay associated with this camera. Okay? So, let's step on to the next step. Alright, now we have to bring in the card reader. Now, I've taken this one apart just so you can take a look at this one. You'll see that it has two ends to it, a mini USB and the larger one. The small one goes into the back of the card reader here itself. Make sure you don't force it. And then this one will go into the back of the monitor or into the back of the computer, as the case may be. So I've got that one set up already here. I've got my card reader here. This is a multi-purpose card reader. It takes all kinds of cards. We're going to use this one in the upper right hand corner. That's where this SD card. Notice that the label goes in facing up, and I plug it in like so. Not a big deal. If all goes according to plan, our screen should light up and we should start to see some of the content of the card. Let's take a little closer look. Okay, now that we have the card in the card reader and located on our desktop, we can go ahead and double click on that to open up and find our files. I've got it opened in a column view right now so you can track where we're going. It follows a path, but once you know it, it's pretty easy to remember. Private, AVCHD, that's the compression method, BDMV, and then stream. And when you see it, what you'll have then is a collection of what are called MTS files, media transport streams. And they do get recorded in numerical order. So you can assume that the file that is number 1 was recorded at an earlier date, and this one was on the 28th. And if I scroll to the bottom and I look at the 33rd one, you can see that that one was filmed today, in fact 9 o'clock this morning. The numbering sequence is usually pretty good about it, but can't be guaranteed. So let's go ahead and look at it a different way to make sure we grab the video that we want. I'm going to go ahead and click on the list view, and it shows me all my files. And then I'm going to choose date modified. And when I do that, I can see that there's 2 pieces of film, 2 files that were created today at 9 o'clock this morning. So those are the ones that I recognize as being my film because those are the film that I shot today. So I'm going to make sure that I select both of those. I'm holding the shift key down now. Holding the shift key down, I can shift and collect multiple files. And then I'm going to move this to my storage folder where my project is located. So in my storage drive, under my projects folder, I have one that says camera introduction. I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and this is where I want my film to be. So once that's in place, it's very easy. It just simply requires that I drag and drop, copy and paste the 2 files over, and now I have that in place. Leaving this open, I know that I had some film that came in from the red camera and some film that came from the black camera. So let's go ahead and do the same thing with the other one as a way of reviewing. The last step that's important here is that this is the card itself. And I would like to make sure that this card gets ejected safely. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this eject button. This will then disappear, the icon disappears, and I'm ready to take the card out of the card reader and repeat the process with the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in the red card. You can see the icon shows up on the screen. If you do get another application open like this, just go ahead and quit out of it. The computer may be set up as a default to read something else. It's a little slower and sometimes gets a little clunky. So I'm going to go ahead and quit out of any application that shows up. Go through the same process here. Double click on the Canon card. Here we are. Going to make that a little larger. I'm going to go through the column view again so you can see private, AVCHD, BDMV, stream, and you'll notice I get a bunch of other stuff here in this case. A bunch of things called XMP files. Now these are temporary files that are created by Premiere, and sometimes you will see this because well, students don't move the media off the card, and they try to work the media directly off the card instead of the computer. So understand that these are going to be Premiere files. They are not what we want. In fact, the only thing we're looking for on this one, we can see this card's got a bunch of junk on it, are these two little files at the end, because these are the MTS files that I had shot this morning. So to help at least the look of it, I'm going to go ahead and click back on the list view again and click on date modified. Scroll back up to the top, and then I should see precisely the two files that I want to take with me today. So again, numerically they're organized in the right sequence. More importantly, I can see on the date modified that they were shot today. So I'm going to grab those two, drag and drop into my folder, get a little icon that says OK. Now I have my four files there. And I can go ahead, and now that I'm done with this card, the safe way to eject is to click the eject button. The icon disappears, and now I'm ready to move on to my editing. These files that I have taken from the camera now are in the right folder, and I can go ahead and start my Premiere Pro project and import this media. So let's review. Getting the cards out of the cameras is pretty easy. Inside the black cameras, it's a small lever, the small case inside the viewfinder. Inside the red cameras, it's on the bottom where the battery pack is. Ejecting the cards from the camera is just simply pushing on and taking it out. Getting a card reader, getting it plugged into the computer, and inserting the card into that upper right hand corner. That brings up the icon on the computer. Open that to the appropriate folder. Go ahead and remove your files, copy them to your project folder, eject the card, remove the card, put the card back into the camera, return the camera to the shelf. Now you have your media on your computer. Now you can go ahead and start editing. Review the steps. It'll become automatic after a while. Please don't get careless with the devices like the cameras, the cards, or the card readers. And please be very careful when ejecting your card from the computer so you don't contaminate or corrupt any data on the card. Lots of classes are using these cards, lots of classes are using these cameras, and we want to take care of them. So, check it out. Make sure you have all those steps down. If you have any questions, go back through this tutorial, check back on the steps, but after a while it should not be a problem. Enjoy.